coercion too, because that will blow open a prenup. So you got to really hash this out, and then it's almost like a big game of chicken. Okay, if I'll marry you if you sign the prenup. Okay, I won't sign the prenup. Okay, I won't marry you. I mean, it turns into sometimes who wants to get married the most, right?
Explain to the listening audience exactly what duress is.
Well, in the context of a prenup, it would be, for example, that you're about to get married next week, and then and all the wedding invitations are already out. You've got a big 300-person wedding planned for the lawn at the Royal Hawaiian, and all the families are coming. And then he hands you the prenup. It says, "Sign here." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "Well, either that or call off the wedding." And she goes, "Oh my God, I don't want to be embarrassed in front of all my friends." So she's been essentially forced to sign the prenup in that case.
What a way to start a marriage, though.
That's not good, and it's really not very good for the prenup, because that's not the way it's supposed to be done. You want them signed well in advance of the wedding, with the opportunity to fully disclose all the finances, review each other's finances, know what you're really getting into, have attorneys on both sides. Attorneys are supposed to sign off on these things. I won't do them without having attorneys on the other side. We do a lot of them because I went to UCLA for law school and was licensed in California before I came here in 1978 or whatever. But and California had a prenup statute before Hawaii did, so I was doing them even years earlier. We've done lots of them, but you've got to be very, very careful about how they're done. Yeah. And the attorney's got to be careful about how they're done, because otherwise somebody comes back to you and says, "Hey, you told me 20 years ago you had my okole covered in this thing, and instead, my wife broke the prenup, and I think you ought to pay it."
Let me ask you this: a marriage that starts with a prenup, the statistics of divorces, you said 45-50%. Is it equal to prenups as well, or is this?
Well, I don't know that there's specific statistics that I've never seen on how many divorces are involved prenups. Relatively few. It still has not caught on big time. I mean, we do a lot more divorces than we do prenups. And if they had prenups, the divorce case would be a lot easier. A lot of times it's for people that have been divorced before, second marriages. Sometimes if you got family kids by a first marriage, and you want to make sure that they're protected. That's a legitimate reason to do it. If you're in a business situation where you don't want your business partner getting sucked into your divorce, that's another reason to do it. If you're inheriting family money, or if one side has, a lot of times it's for older people. I don't see young kids coming in and saying, "Oh, geez, I heard about these, and I'm worried enough about divorce." Most of the time, it's veterans of prior divorce, or have already got other families, or they've got some money that they've accrued to protect. I mean, if you're going to be in a marriage that just starts out with both of you having nothing and trying to work your way up as a young couple to achieve whatever you're going to achieve jointly, maybe there's really no need for a prenup. Yeah. But if you get a rich guy or gal marrying somebody that that they've just met, that's probably a good idea to get a prenup.
Yeah. So we've covered a lot of spectrums of the whole divorce process, and I think that's a good start. And letting the people know what is involved, even if it's your second marriage. Oh gosh, God forbid. But do you see laws changing all the time as far as divorce goes, or it's just pretty steady?
Well, the law itself does not change all that much. Maybe you can you get over to the Divorce with Decency book? I don't know if I'll have to keep talking, and you can maybe get a copy of the book. This book that I'm about to show you, I've rewritten 4 different times. It's now in its 4th edition by the University of Hawaii Press, and basically it gets fatter every time, much like its author. It was about half the size when I wrote the first one in 1998. It's not what's caused this book to get heftier is not changes in law. It is the fact that society is changing, and we should do a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, we will.
There's the book, and it's got this ridiculous title.
And we will let you know how you can get a hold of this book too, and that's going to be a whole different episode, because I am really intrigued with this book, not only because it's in its 4th revision, but ironically, Brad has in there how to save your marriage.
I do.
And that's what I want to point out.
It's right there in the title.
On there.
It says, "Can your marriage be saved?" and then love in the internet age. Those are the kind of things that change. When I wrote this book in 1998, people weren't hooking up on Match.com. They weren't getting divorced because the wife found her husband's cell phone records and found out that he'd been dating Mitzi.
We're going to keep that for a whole different episode,
that is,
and I really want to hone in and just dedicate a whole episode to your book. But for now, we're going to close this one episode, and thank you so much, Bradley Coates. He's going to be a recurring family law attorney, and for those of you listening to the podcast, he's doing his very clean, like, shaka. And so, Agents of Change, I hope this really helped you. If you know someone going through this, please pass this podcast on, or if you're watching the video, copy the link and send it to someone who may need it, who's going through it and could use any help possible. And while we don't want divorces, it's just a true reality, and so we want to make it as smooth as possible, if that's even possible. But I think this is very valuable, Brad. A lot of things that people don't know. So until next time with Bradley Coates, we're going to say ahui ho.
Thank you for listening.